Oh, welcome to another great edition of the Cocktails with Cav show, the most popular show on the internet. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it anyway. A few shows into season 2 already. Thanks so much for everybody's support over the last year. Please, if you haven't already, as always, follow us and please share the show. Well, a quick mention for our incredible sponsors over at Run Amok Books. Look, they're an incredible indie publisher. They're not afraid to push the envelope and take chances on edgy new voices in literature. So please check them out, Run Amok Books. Their link is in the show description or at the top of our X profile in our X shop. Well, let's get to tonight's amazing guest. I'm a huge fan of his comedy, dating back to his performances in New York and LA and his early YouTube notoriety with his Greg and Lou duo. He went on to perform, write, and produce a lot of successful shows and internet content. And he released his incredible book, That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore, all about how the woke mind virus was killing comedy. He'll be appearing again this Wednesday, February 26th, as a hilarious panelist on the popular Gutfeld Show on Fox News. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the show, Lou Perez. Oh, Lou, my friend, I am so glad you could finally make it to Cocktails with Cav. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I wish I was where you are right now. I'll tell you that much.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a little coffee. I tend to have to recover after all my shows, so I'll be joining you shortly. Oh, man, I tell you what, I gave you an incredible introduction, buddy. The man that needs no introduction type of introduction. But you're just one of my favorite comedian commentators on social media, your videos, some of your past work. And for those who aren't familiar with your work, Lou, by all means, we love to let people know about the creators. Because please tell us a little about your past. It's an incredible career you've had going so far. And let people know how you got started in the business and how you got to where you are today in the throes of all this fame you've got going on.
so much fame right now, right in the
fame, it's infamy, so much fame.
Yeah, man, so much fame that I'm hiding out in my suburban basement because it's 9 o'clock where I am, and the paparazzi are just so loud upstairs. They're just trying to take pictures all they want. No, I think I got into the business before I knew there was a possibility of me getting any business whatsoever in here. Like I started, like a lot of people, I started doing comedy in college, improv, sketch comedy, and then sort of graduated to doing sketch comedy at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in New York and Los Angeles. And for a lot of us, like in my troupe, that was sort of like, that was the height. It was like, oh, we can't get any better than performing at this, at this theater. So, after a while, I think probably like the biggest impact on my career had to come with YouTube in particular. Because YouTube, at least like when it first kind of started out, it was very much a wild west of, comedians kind of putting stuff on there, not really sure like what this thing was. And it was there kind of in the early days of YouTube that I had a comedy duo, Greg and Lou, that we started putting all of our stuff there, and that kind of blew up. And it was really interesting just looking at it from, like kind of the way things were changing, I guess, in the business, where before it was kind of like, okay, you'd perform, in theaters, in clubs, with the hopes of, getting a sitcom or something like that, or getting a movie. And there was kind of like, here was the process. And now suddenly, thanks to YouTube, it was like, wait a minute, on a great night, we could perform live in New York in front of like 150 people. But now with YouTube, it's like you put a video up and you're potentially hitting thousands, millions of people, and it completely like just kind of, changed the game. So after a while, I started kind of having a focus with doing like the, short sketch comedy and putting it out there online.
Yeah. And did you find, because I know you're right, there was a definitive process in the stand-up world, obviously, and of course there became this pushback against comedy, the normal route, clubs, college campuses, that kind of thing, where stand-up comedians would perform, and then there became that pushback. And then you're right, online opened up this whole new world for people to get their product in front of people. But did you find that altered how comedy's demise was hastened in the beginning, reaching so many people at once and then getting the pushback,
Yeah, well, I guess things started happening, is in a way like kind of like my comedy career is a little bit like a history of YouTube, I guess, in a way where, you started out putting stuff up there for free, right? And then YouTube gave you a chance to monetize, to become part of like a partnership program. And now suddenly you had money coming in, and there were like some videos that we had, the duo Greg and Lou. One of them, we just celebrated the 15th anniversary. It's a video called Wolverine's Claws Suck. And it had, 15 years and counting, over 20 million views, on YouTube. So, that might be, kind of the height of my career, might just be there. But there was a time where, we were monetized, and we were, every month we were getting some money into our account, which if, definitely not enough to live on, but it was enough to, subsidize what we were doing, to make sure that we kept producing more stuff. And then I wish I had the date, handy, but at some point we started seeing like videos get demonetized, and it wasn't necessarily like all political. I think demonetization kind of started before even like politics really started cooking on YouTube. It just became a thing where, they were beholden to advertisers, and advertisers might get spooked by, this video in particular, this Wolverine video. It's like, it was very gory. There was like a lot of fake blood and stuff, and, foul language. So
it's a cuss when you're getting blades in the head, but
yeah, exactly. So I guess there were like little hints of things happening there. And then there were a lot of like really great websites, other outlets like College Humor and Funny or Die. And, they seemed to be doing really well. And then they kind of got caught up in, I guess, other drama on the web, on the internet, whether it's like issues with Facebook and videos and stuff like that. So it's interesting because like a big part of this is kind of like, on the one hand, you have just kind of like this this natural response for when you're putting videos online and trying to grab advertising. And then there's this other side of it where, you have political videos, and then you have pushback there, as far as, are these people talking about the right subjects, or, are they coming at it from the right point of view, and whether or not, they should be heard or not,
Yeah, and I think that's and comedy's always been that mode of communication where you could speak to things and affect the way the public looked at it, through humor, and that was always its allure, right? Is that it like any other fine art form, really? Comedy's not just a bunch of guys being goofy; they're speaking to something, and I find a lot of your work as of late, it has, you're speaking to contemporary topics that are affecting all of us, through humor, and Do you find that that's turning around the ability to kind of go push the envelope on that, since we went so far into the trenches of cancel culture and all of that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And for one, when I'm speaking, I'm speaking directly to you, George. There's nobody else on my mind. I'm speaking directly to you. Yeah, so my book that I wrote, it's called "That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore: On the Death and Rebirth of Comedy," and that came out in September of 2022. And when I was writing it, a lot of friends of mine who were writing it, he just kept sending a lot of, I don't know, just a neg stuff. People were really on comedy. And that was, kind of unfortunate, because what I was seeing is, rather than this not being a good time to be doing comedy, I thought this is like the best time to be doing comedy. For one reason, just like we've been talking about, having the technology to be able to produce and put this stuff out there and find audiences is pretty amazing. And then also, it was kind of like with the ascension of Donald Trump during his first term. It seemed like all of kind of like mainstream comedy, not just like political satire, but just mainstream comedy, was so focused on Donald Trump that they were leaving all these other areas unexplored comedically. And I thought that was just an amazing opportunity for independent comedians to just go out there and say, like, hey, if you're not making fun of this stuff, I'm going to make fun of this stuff and put it out there. And I think over the past, basically, yeah, like since I wrote the book, I don't know if my book is the thing that did it, change the course of history. But I've been just so amped up when it comes to comedy and being able to produce stuff and speak your mind and all that. I feel really great about it. And I think one of the ways to kind of test the waters and just see like how things are changing is, look at what people are making fun of, or no longer afraid to make fun of, the topics that they're speaking out about, and the words that they're using as well. And I think even just something as simple as the word retard coming back and being used, like being thrown around, and people aren't getting like dinged for it, at least on X. It really just says, I think a lot of people just kind of had enough of, policing of speech and ideas, and they're opening up the floodgates and just going for it.
Well, and I think that has been a significant shift, just almost like a weight has been lifted somewhat. But it really, and when you talk about things like the Trump reelection that just occurred, and heck, you got J.D. Vance talking in front of the Security Council in Europe, lambasting them for free speech, pushback in Europe itself. There's a shift going on culturally all over the world. But and I actually find that comedians tend to be on the forefront of that push, whether we, talk about Trump, but raising public awareness about it through humor kind of started, in my opinion, leading to that cultural shift of people getting relieved from that burden,
Yeah, I think so. And I think one thing that, comedy definitely does is it kind of gives people permission or an assurance, like, oh, if we can joke about this, we could talk about it, and right. I think that's really important. And I think, the connection between comedy and free speech is just so obvious, the importance of that the two have played, with each other. And, I think, you bring up J.D. Vance's speech. I mean, I can't say this enough, but, the United States is a very special place. It is a very special place, in particular when it comes to free speech. And, the idea that, you have these Europeans looking down on us and saying, no, we have free speech, but you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say this. I love the idea of us just no longer cowering or feeling like we're we're the lessers. It's like no, we're the betters. We're Americans. Let's do it.
Yeah, and we've had, hopefully we continue to have that impact around the world as we shift, as we go, right?
Mhm.
As the old expression goes. And did you find it? Because I believe you did some teaching, like at the City College in New York and creative writing and that. Did you find that, I don't know exactly which time frame that was.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, I mean, that was probably, man, we're probably coming up on 17 years ago or something like that. And I was really fortunate because I got a master's in creative writing, and I taught a little bit at the college, and I was really fortunate to have the type of professors that I had to work with on my writing that really enjoyed dangerous writing, that really wanted you to go places where you're taking chances, where you're risking stuff. And I guess kind of my artistic biography has kind of like these different modes going where, I'm going to graduate school to learn, to study, creative writing and literary fiction. And then I'm doing sketch comedy on stage and online and stuff. And then eventually doing stand up. And I think that was really kind of helpful for me, like as an artist, to be able to kind of get out whatever I was trying to get out in these different modes. And then also like taking it seriously too, like, having like, whatever I put out, I want to stand behind it, and also be willing to, to risk something, whether it's something as simple as bombing or it's something as simple as, maybe hurting someone's feelings.
Right. And I think that's just interesting. I wanted to ask you about that because when you talk about the time frame in the grand scheme of things, 17 years ago wasn't that long. Still in this century, right? And just that momentous shift when you talk about you were lucky enough to have professors that wanted to free reign and turn you loose with some edgy, dangerous stuff in creative writing, and then to have that shift all of a sudden in the university systems.
Yeah, I'm actually reminded of a student I had who it's funny. I don't think I've ever talked about her on a live or in public before, but she was in my creative writing class that I taught, and she was a young I think she might have been like a sophomore or a junior. She was a Puerto Rican girl whose family had converted to Islam, and she wore the whole the whole getup. She was completely covered, and here was this girl completely covered. She wore like cool sneakers, like she was a city kid. So she had like this, this cover and like these cool sneakers. And, there were people who were bringing in stories that were a little risque and stuff, totally fine with it. She even wrote like some of her own stuff that was like, whoa, this girl's writing, these kinds of stories. And I remember we had like a one-on-one conversation, with the teacher student. And she was, just like, 'cause I was just trying to, find out about what she's interested in and what she wants to write about and all that. And she told me that sometimes, like, she goes out without the getup, without the thing, and kind of lives this other life. And I was like, man, what an interesting person there. You have like this character who could be in a movie, could be in a short story, kind of living out this really interesting life, and at the same time being open to all these different experiences, or at least hearing these stories. And I thought that I wonder where she is now.
That is an interesting story.
Yeah.
And I wonder if she's found a way to be a little more free in expression in all facets of life, right?
Yeah.
Given the current situation. So, but man, well, Lou, I tell you what, I have to go refill my cocktail. You got me all excited drinking, talking about how you built where you are today. So when we come back, man, please, by all means, let's talk about your current work and what you got going on, because I know I'm real excited about some of the things you have in the fire, bud.
Right on.
Okay, everybody, got to pay those bills. Quick mid-roll break real fast. Look, as an Amazon affiliate, I only advertise products I truly believe in, and I wanted to give everyone a heads up on this incredible product that I use myself, especially when traveling. You cannot go wrong with the Kamrui mini desktop PC. With 16 gigs DDR4 RAM, as well as a 512 gig hard drive, it's as powerful as the big, huge desktop I have at home in my office. And when I'm traveling, look, you can see it fits in the palm of your hand. It's so easy to travel with. With its multiple HDMI ports, I just simply plug it into the TV in my RV or hotel room, and I have as much computing power as I need to even produce my Cocktails with Cav show on the road. So if you're in the market for a PC, please check out our affiliate link in the description. It is so incredibly inexpensive, you're not going to believe it. So do yourself a favor, go click that affiliate link and check it out. You'll be glad you did.
M.
Bond. Good. I need you on this immediately.
I'm still tracking the new Al-Qaeda cell.
Not anymore. Everything stops until this is resolved.
Russians? Hamas? Mexican cartel?
Worse. Donut Hole 69.
Donut Hole 69.
Look. He called London Mayor Sadiq Khan a coconut.
A coconut.
Yes, Bond. A coconut.
Q.
Bond.
It's not even accurate. Khan is on the left. He can't be a coconut. If he were conservative, the slur would land. In this case, the proper racist term would be...
Packy.
Q, you can't say that.
I didn't mean to. He just retweeted his own tweet with P-A-K-I in capital letters.
My God.
It gets worse.
Why is he doing this?
He's from America. Thinks he has free speech.
Not on our soil.
Oh, dear.
What is it, Q?
His passport just popped up in our system. He just hopped a flight back to America.
The Americans won't extradite for hate speech. At least not yet. It's over, Bond.
No, it's not. I'll bring him back myself.
If you do this, Bond, I can't protect you.
Understood.
Well, all right then. You've got a license to kill. Use it.
Do you mean?
Dead. Or alive.
With pleasure. How close am I, Q?
The Starbucks just ahead on your right.
This is the most populated area of Manhattan.
If he sets a tweet off there, the damage could be incalculable.
Oh, it's too late. He just misgendered Elliot
He's
Page.
gonna start a bloody war!
Bond, you have to get to him before J.K. Rowling retweets him.
It wasn't there, Q, just an empty coffee cup.
Were there any clues?
Just the name on the cup. Dick. Hole.
Oh, God.
Well, at least now we know his real name.
No, James, it's obviously a joke.
He popped up on the system again. From Madison Square Garden, he tweeted a picture of a black man looting a store and titled it, Martin Luther King.
How dare he?
It has 100 likes and counting. 105. 111.
Do something, Bond!
He's gone, Q.
Bond, he's on the move. Bond, this tweet puts him at the Empire State Building.
Another dead end, Q.
We are running out of time. If he slips back into his network of shit posters and anxiety terrorists, we may never see him again.
Well, then we've got to stop playing catch up. We've got to get ahead of him.
Oh my God. Of course.
What is it, Q?
IBS.
The international banking system.
No, irritable bowel syndrome. Every time he tweets, he's near a toilet. Bond, I know where he's going to shit next.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Who the hell are you?
007. License to kill.
Kill? Why would you want to kill me?
For your tweets. Inappropriate.
But I'm nobody. I'm just a guy having fun while I take a dump.
Is that all?
Yeah, I'm just trying to blow off some steam. First Amendment, you know, all that crap.
All right.
Never mind then.
Wow, really?
No, not really.
M. He's dead. It's over.
This is an M Bond. M ha 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 ha.
What?
That's right. You may have killed one of my soldiers, but X has billions of soldiers, Bond. Billions.
Elon.
Musk not stirred. Ha 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 ha. You are a noob, Mr. Bond. I am elite.
Huh?
I'm going to drop a kitchen sink on you, Mr. Bond. Deal with it, loser.
There we go.
Oh, yes. I'd say it was incredibly contemporary.
Thank you, George. Appreciate that.
Oh, no. Some of your work, I've been, in fact, when I first reached out to you on X, I'd seen one of your videos, and of course it was a hot topic going on at the time. All we have going on with society and culture, and do you find that I noticed some of your responses get pushed back? Obviously, of course, you're going to get it on social media, but what's your general response you get from some of your work?
The general response, I think all the people I like and love me, and I think that's nice.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where you can't. The idea that you're just going to put stuff out there and you're not going to get any pushback or people saying that you suck is, it's just crazy to think that. The one thing, though, that I didn't realize, I was losing my hair until everyone who hates me started pointing out that I was losing my hair. So the amount of people who point out, who make fun of my hairline and my forehead, and I'm like, I didn't even know. And I'm like, I was so ignorant. I don't even have a complex. And I'm like, but yet, it bothers them. It bothers them enough to point it out to me every time that they disagree with me. So.
Well, they talk about everybody, I guess, on X fled to blue sky. Do you find your ratios a little better?
well, I gotta say, the one thing though, I am disappointed with so many people who fled to blue sky, because I like arguing and I like fighting this way. This is the way I like fighting, over on X. It's way better than fighting in the streets. And, as I told you earlier, I just went back to jujitsu and I got my ass kicked. George, I'm in so much pain right now where I'm like, I'm no warrior. I'm not looking to be a warrior in the streets. But it's like, man, I really miss the people, because I would have so much fun just, goofing on people I disagree with. Years back when Louis Farrakhan's account was taken down, I'm like, no, bring back Brother Farrakhan. Come on.
Right. And surely the conversation can occur to make progress if you just go flee to your thought bubble, and it's.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that a lot of people are finding on Blue Sky is that, that you had people there, who have fled there because they were just like, look, X is too toxic. But then all the really toxic people from their side are on Blue Sky, making it a really shitty place. So yeah, I'm hoping that those people, come back. It's like, come back, get monetized, make some money. Make a if you can make a couple $100 a month, just doing something you'll be doing for free. Come on, just do it.
Oh, absolutely. And I find it. I just think it's really humorous that, with the censorship we talked about, Babylon B, when they first opened their Blue Sky account, the first 4 minutes, and they got one of their posts got flagged, and of course they screenshotted it. Blue Sky's going well for Babylon B now.
Yeah. It's so amazing.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it goes straight into, let's talk about your great book, That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore, on the death and rebirth of comedy. how's that going? And what inspired you on this front? Obviously, some of the things you went through in your comedy field, you know?
Yeah, but with this one, the book came out directly from, it was, October of 2020. I had just lost my job where I was producing We the Internet TV, which is a comedy channel. And I think most of the videos are still available on like YouTube. And so I lost my job, and then a number of friends had shown me this academic paper called like The Growth of Right-Wing Echo Chambers on YouTube. And one of the channels that was listed was We the Internet TV, the channel that I was just a producer for. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. You know, here I am like out of work, looking for a job, you know, hopefully within, you know, the business, comedy business. And the idea that I'm going to be connected to a right-wing, channel, or far right wing, excuse me, even worse. I'm like, that's just not good. And my friend Noam Dwarman, who owns the Comedy Cellar, he's the one who really inspired me. He said, you gotta respond to it. You gotta make a video or write something. And he connected me with the Wall Street Journal, who ultimately ran my piece at the end of 2020. I think it might have been like December 31st, 2020. So they ran my piece, and the book came out of that article. Basically, it was an opportunity for me to comment on, like, how do we get to this point? How do we get here where a comedy channel is being labeled, far right, and comedians are being canceled, et cetera. It's like, how do we get here, and where are we going? It was a great opportunity for me to look back on like 20 years of comedy, and to kind of remind myself just how great of a journey I think I had, and how lucky I was to kind of come up in a time where you'd risk everything you could on stage, and try to grow from it.
Yeah, I think that kind of canned comedy that took hold, once cancel culture started. I mean, and you see a lot of the comedians, like I said, ad nauseum, talking about how comedy just became so toxic. The audience became so toxic that it wasn't even worth performing anymore,
Well, something else happened too, where for some reasons, like, comedians were expected to be political in one way or another. And you have a lot of comedians who aren't political, like a lot of comedians who they don't want to, they're just not interested in doing, that's not their material, doing stuff on politics. So then it became like, oh, did you change your, thumbnail for whatever happened, or are you sufficiently, in favor of like Black Lives Matter, et cetera, just all the, all this stuff, a lot of virtue signaling and a lot of purity tests. And it's like, there's so many people I know, they just want to tell jokes. And then also I had friends of mine who are, lifelong Democrats who, if they made the mistake of making a joke at the expense of their own party, their own people would jump on them and say, how dare you? You can't do this. You can't make fun of us now. That so much is on the line right now. Donald Trump is president, et cetera. It was just like a really, kind of like sickening kind of atmosphere, to be in.
And it really did. And I that pendulum swung so far one way, and of course the worry for anybody with common sense is you definitely don't want the pendulum to swing back equally as far, with the laws of physics. Hopefully it comes to rest in the middle and some sanity returns, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, and yeah, I tell you, your book caught a lot of people's attention. Obviously it's available on Amazon, and anybody who wants to check out the QR code there, but by all means check it out, because it's certainly garnered a lot of attention, and so is Lou on social media. But
I seek attention. I seek a lot of attention.
Hey, you've inspired me with your burpees that you've been doing lately, and
thanks, bro.
I've ordered some of your XXXY clothing, but I'm probably gonna end up wearing it as comfortable drinking clothes. I don't know.
There we go. There we go. Hey man, I'll take it, man.
That's it. But no, and I tell you, you actually, like I said, your work definitely has caught some attention, and you ended up you're a panelist on the great Gutfeld Show on Fox.
Yeah.
And I believe you're coming up February 26th.
Yeah, if all goes well, I'll be back on. I'll be making, I think it might be my 8th appearance on Gutfeld on February 26th, which is great because that's my birthday. And
Definitely.
so I can't think of a better way to celebrate my birthday than as one of the panelists. Greg's been just like a great friend in the in this sphere, and it's so wild to do shows and then come off stage and meet people who are like, oh, I know you from Gutfeld. It's like,
right.
it's so wild, the amazing reach that he has, and he's been working so hard for so long to build up that audience, and the man's the king of late night. So
yeah, and I
not too shabby, right?
Like Trump told him, his ratings went, because what it's great show. I'd like to think Greg stole some stuff from the Cocktails with Cav model of interview.
There we go. Yeah, he needs more. I think we need more alcohol on set. That would be pretty cool.
It probably would happen, yeah. But just Kat, tell her to stay away. She's got a little more to go.
Right. Yeah. Another thing, month or two.
That's another month.
Yeah.
Cat's about to explode. But geez, well, Lou, do you have anything else in the fire you want to talk about, buddy?
Yeah, I have some like tour dates coming up. So if anybody's interested, you can go check out my website, thelouperez.com. And I'm at the Lou Perez on all social media. And
Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, no, and of course those links will all be in the description to all of your great work, some of your great videos that I definitely would love people to see if they haven't seen them already. But yeah, Lou, my friend, I tell you what, everyone, if you haven't had a chance, please, by all means, you don't know what you're missing. Go follow Lou over on X at the Lou Perez. He's always got some incredible content, obviously. And, also, by all means, please, if you haven't already, check out his great book, That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore, available on Amazon. And by all means, look for Lou on Gutfeld, February 26th. Tune in for his birthday. And
that's right, birthday celebration.
Buddy. Yeah. So what are you going to be, 24 now, 25?
Yeah. I'm hoping I'm going to start growing backwards.
What was your throwback post? Back in the day, shorts were long, buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, well, Lou, my friend, it has been a pleasure. I know I've said it earlier in the show, but it's an honor to have you on. Look forward to continuing your great work on social media and enjoying what you're putting out, bud, because you definitely catch my attention, and I know you catch everyone else's too. So ladies and gentlemen, Lou Perez, my friend, have a good one.
Cheers.